I'm Josh Voss, a mechanical engineering major.
And I'm Colton Bond, and I'm a mechanical engineering major as well.
My capstone project is to build the mechanical hardware for an animatronic cougar. It's for the BYU Theater and Media Arts Department.
And we are part of another team that's working along with the mechanical team. We're in charge of the controls for the system. So you can see, so we are in charge of all the programming that goes into controlling the motors that will move within the head of the cougar, and then making sure that there's a good user interface where the puppeteers that will be controlling the cougar can be able to use those to create expression within the cougar's face.
The most challenging part of our project has really been that we're communicating with multiple teams, working on different things together, not only with the control system team, but also we have a team in the theater department who's also working on the cougar as well. And it's also just a very organic shape the cougar is, and so making hardware that is compatible with such a complex, difficult shape and also compact space has been a real challenge for our team.
So I'd have to probably agree with Josh that integrating the different parts of both our team system and with the other teams has been a real challenge. Even within our own team, when you're working in a group, you need to be able to kind of split up and divide and conquer at times, just because there's a lot that goes into any of these projects really that the Capstone is working on. And so when you split up, you just have to make sure that the expectations are clear on how things will come together. And undoubtedly, when things do come together, there are still challenges, things that have to be sorted out and corrected. And so that's been a challenge. And as we continue to integrate with the other teams, we have to continue to adapt both our design and the way everything comes together so that it'll all work well in the end, smoothly in the end.
So to work together as teams during a worldwide pandemic with COVID-19, we learned to use tools like Zoom and to work remotely and use online tools that we could edit documents and designs all at the same time without being in the same place. And then organizing with the other teams to meet in a such that we can work on the cougar in the same room but do so safely.
Well, I mean, it has been drastically different than a normal class. I think right from the get-go, as we started learning more about documentation and how to make a good design, you start to realize how much actually goes into real life engineering. And the amount of time and effort and resources that it requires to create a working product, something that is worthy of being sold and that consumers will actually like. As we've worked with TMA, someone outside of the mechanical engineering department, you start to realize how sheltered you've been as an engineer over the years. You start to believe that everyone knows what the basics of physics and forces and lots of things that we talk about often as engineers. And as we've interacted with them, it's become apparent that there's a lot of work that goes into bridging that gap to make sure that a product is usable for someone that may not have the same background.
I think it's also different from a normal class in that it's a very wide open project. There are so many solutions. In a typical classroom setting, you know what your professor wants. They have a format that they want your project report to be laid out in. Whereas in Capstone, it's really up to the team to make those decisions and to make sure that when we make those decisions, we're all on the same page so that we can easily and quickly communicate with each other.
So when we started our project, I think everyone was really excited. We were assigned a cool project to work on. We were all of us really excited to create this animatronic cougar. And in the beginning, kind of like Josh had said earlier, you kind of feel like the sky is the limit. You're completely open to, or there's no boundaries set on your design at that point. And so we started to think about all of the cool things that we could do for the theater and arts department. And so as we began planning our design, we included a lot of features that we wanted to add, just things that we thought would be really cool. And it became clear as we moved through months of working that we haven't quite developed the skills to be able to know how long things take. I think that's generally just a challenge for people all over the world, in any discipline. But there's just a lot of work that goes into creating a product and into engineering in general. And so as we worked, you think about how many hours are dedicated. For example, on our team, there's 6 members, and we dedicate 10 hours a week at least to our project. And you think, wow, that's a lot of time. You can get a lot done, but there is a lot to do. And so I think it's just really this participating in Capstone has opened my eyes to the challenge that is, setting realistic goals and a realistic budget, and just managing your resources in the engineering field and being realistic with customers. Because when you tell someone that something's going to be done by a certain time, you want to be able to, hit those goals. And so it's definitely something to refine and to focus on, because it's not trivial.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, taking the time up front to communicate, I feel like I can't stress enough that 30 seconds to send a text message or 5 minutes to write an email can save hours and hours. We have so many people working on lots of tiny parts that go inside this cougar head, and if we didn't know how the design was going to interact, we would have spent hours and hours later as a team just trying to make it fit.